Hey everyone. I'm super lazy today and I am not going to get out the green screen even though I'm at home today. Hopefully today there won't be a typo either. Today what we're going to do is we are going to extend what we remember from division, just long division, and talk about that decimal placement when dividing. So our kind of essential question for the day is where does the decimal go when I divide? So when we're adding and subtracting, we just drop the decimal down. When we're multiplying, we have to count how many decimal places are in our factors and then include them back into our final product. With division, it starts out easy, but it'll get a little trickier as we start getting a decimal in our divisor. But for right now, when we're dividing a whole number into a decimal number, our decimal just goes straight up. So it's kind of like adding and subtracting, but it's a little different when we start getting decimals in our divisor, and we'll talk about that next week. But what we're going to do is we are going to try to remember that dividing with a decimal works just like long division, but with just one difference. So let's divide 2.53 by 5. That looks like 2.53 divided by 5. Or if I were to say that out, like if I were to say out each word, I would say 2 and 35 hundredths into 5 groups. So what does that look like? Well, the 2.35 or 2 and 35 hundredths is kind of our dividend. So that's our number that we're going to be dividing into. And then our 5 is our divisor. So that's how many groups we're making with this. So, and I realized that I got these two screwed up. Nope. It's a math video with Miss Sevelius. There's our typo for the day. But our 5 is always kind of the divided by 5 into 5 groups. Divided by 5. That's what goes on the outside of the house, or that's our divisor. What goes under the roof is the number that we're dividing up, so our divisor. Sometimes it's bigger than our divisor, and sometimes it's smaller than our divisor. And yesterday when we were doing just regular long division, we would ask ourselves, well, 2.35 can't be divided into 5 groups. There's only 2. Well, it can. We can divide it up, but now we're only going to get a part of each thing into 5 groups. What I want you to think about is if I took $2.35 and put them all into pennies, so I had 235 pennies, could I split those pennies into 5 groups? I could, because I have a lot of them. So what we have to remember is that decimals and fractions are parts of numbers. They're smaller pieces of a whole number. And even whole numbers can still be split up into these decimals and fractions. So here we go. What do? Actually, we're going to ignore the decimal completely. We're going to divide like normal, and then we're going to move the decimal straight up. It's easy as that. It's kind of like when we're adding and subtracting. We ignore the decimals, and then we move the decimal straight down. This time, ignore, bring it straight up. So let's do it. Our first step in this problem is that we need to divide this first digit by our dividend of 2. Right now, and I just told you you could, but right now we can't put 2 into 5 groups evenly. There's no way that I can do that without splitting it up. I have to kind of rename this 2 as 200 tenths, or 2 as if we were to ignore that decimal point, and I'm trying to ignore it and it's not working, but if I were to ignore that decimal point, it would be, I'm going to rename that 200 into 20 tenths. So I'm going to put a 0 right above that 2 and then move on to our second digit. So I'm looking at the 2. I can't do it. I'm going to put my 0 up there, and then I'm going to move on to this second digit. Now I'm going to ignore that decimal for a second and think of this number like 23. Okay, so 23 can be split into 5 groups with some left over. We can split it up at 5 times 4 is 20. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 4 over the 3, because I could put it into 4 groups. and then I'm going to have something left over. So the way to figure out what I'm going to have left over is we multiply that 4 times 5 and get 20. So the 20 goes underneath the 23. And then I subtract and I get that remainder of 3, or I have 3 left over after I've taken 23 and split it up into 5 groups as easily as I can. All right. Now I need to come over to this third digit. Let's look at this digit 5. I have to remember that I'm not just looking at the 5 digit. I need to also remember this remainder of 3. So I got to bring that 5 down. If you were in my class yesterday, we watched that really fun video of teach me how to divide. Teach me how to divide. And we got to bring it down to the floor. So we got to bring that down. We're dropping it all the way down. Now I can ask myself, all right, well, can I make 35, or can I split 35 into groups of 5? Yes, I can. 7 times. Even 7, because 5 times 7 is 35. And that means that there's no remainder. So I'm done with like the dividing of this problem. There's no remainder. 5 times 7 is 35. There's a 0, no remainder. So now what I have to do is I just move that decimal point straight up. And then my final answer is 0.47, or sometimes it's written just like 0.47. Okay, I'm gonna move myself up here. Oh, no, you can't see me. Okay, so sometimes we write just 0.47, sometimes we write 0.47. All right, let's try another one. You can do this. Oh, this looks easy. It's divided by 2. This is my favorite kind to do. So let's divide 73.58 by 2, or 73 and 58 hundredths divided by 2. Miss Sevelia's messed these up again. Or 73 and 58 hundredths into 2 groups. So because the 2 is after the by, after the divided, and into 2 groups, that 2 is going to go on the outside, and the 73 and 58 hundredths is going to go underneath. All right, you ready? I gotta get my blankie, I'm cold. All right, here we go. So we're gonna remember, we're gonna ignore the decimals, divide like normal, and then move the decimal straight up. This time I'm gonna leave the instructions going down the thing, and each instruction matches the step, so you'll be able to see. All right, 2 goes into 7 at least 3 times, because 2, 4, 6. So I'm gonna put a 3 over the 7. Okay. 2 times 3 is 6, and 7 minus 6 is 1. So I've got that 1 left over. That 110 is left over from here. Okay. Looking at the next digit, 3, I need to bring it down and combine it with my remainder of 1. Now I can ask myself, how many times does 2 go into 13? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It goes into it at least 6 times, so that 6 is going to go up on the top. Okay. 2 times 6 is 12. 13 minus 12 is 1 again. So I have another remainder of 1. Okay. Let's go look at the third digit. That third digit is 5, and I need to combine it with my remainder of 1. So I'm going to bring it down. Let's ask myself, okay, well, how many times can I get 2 into 15? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I can't go anymore, so it's 7. Okay, I'm going to put my 7 up on top. 7 times 2 is 14. So I'm going to go throw that down here. 15 minus 14 is again a remainder of 1. Okay, let's go take a peek at that last digit, this 8 right here. I got to remember, I'm not just looking at the 8, I'm looking at the remainder of 8. So I'm going to rename that and bring it down here. So I get this 18, and 2 goes into 18. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 9 times. So I'm going to throw the 9 up there, and 2 times 9, it goes into it exactly 9 times. So 2 times 9 is 18, so I'm done with the math portion. I don't need to do any more. So now I just need to bring that decimal straight up. Here it comes. All right, I'm going to go move myself over here, because I'm going to put something over here. The answer is 36.79. Now, I want to talk to you about rounding or estimating to make sure that we've got a reasonable answer. I can estimate 73.58 is close to 74. Like if I had $73.58, I might just say, yeah, I got $74. And 74 divided by 2 is 37. Okay, if I go look at my original answer of 36.79, if I had $36.79, I'm totally going to say, yeah, I got $37. So 37 is close to my rounded up answer. So you can use estimation and rounding to make sure that your answers are reasonable. All right, now it's your turn. We've added a fun activity for you to do in either Seesaw or Schoology, so follow your teacher. Teachers lead on that, and we'll see you next time.